Chapter 72. Anna. The smell of freshly mown grass fills the air. It's still cold, but the promise of good weather is just around the corner. I've swapped Ella's pram for our pushchair, and she babbles happily as I strap her in. I call Rita and put her on her lead. I'm going to get out of your way. I'll be on my mobile if you need me. No worries, love. Anything in the kitchen you want us to leave out? Hoki is a hive of activity. There are 5 removal men, each in a different room, and a mountain of boxes already packed. Just the kettle, please. In my car is a box of essentials: tea, loo rolls, a few plates and mugs to save and packing when we get to the new house. I chat to Ella as we walk, pointing out a cat, a dog, a balloon caught in a tree. We pass the forecourt of Johnson's cars, but pause only to catch Billy's eyes. He waves and I lean forward to take Ella's hand to wave back. He's busy speaking to a new rep and I don't want to disturb him. The forecourt looks good. The Boxster sold within the first hint of spring. It's been replaced by another 2 sports car, their tops up optimistically down and their bonnets gleaming. Uncle Billy finally lets me bail out the business. So I put in a cash injection that'll keep the wolf from the door for a while at least. Mark thought I was mad. It's a business, not a charity, he said. Only it isn't just a business. It's my past, our present, Ella's future. Grandad Johnson took over from his father, and Billy and Dad took over from him. Now it's down to me and Billy to keep things afloat till business picks up. Who knows if Ella still will want to continue the tradition? That's up to her. But Johnson's car isn't going to go under on my watch. We walk along the seafront. I look at the pier and think about walking here with my parents, and instead of the anger that has filled the last 3 months, I simply feel overwhelmingly sad. I wonder if that's progress, and make a mental note to mention it in my next counselling session. I'm seeing someone again, not someone from Mark's practice. That would have felt weird, but I thought, gentlewoman in Bexhill who listens more than she talks and leaves me feeling a little stronger each time we meet. Down a side street leading away from the seafront is a row of small terrace houses. The push chair bumps on the uneven pavement, and Ella's babbling increases. She's making noises that sounds almost like speech now, and I remind myself to write down each milestone before I forget it. We stop at number 5 and I ring the bell. I have a key, just in case, but I'll never use it. I'm already bending down to take Ella from her buggy when Mark opens the door. How's it going? Organised chaos. I know we're early, but we're getting under their feet, so I give Ella a kiss, holding on to her for as long as I can before handing her to Mark. I'm still not used to it, but every time feels a little easier. There's nothing official. No, every other weekend and a day in the week arrangement. Just the 2 of us still parenting jointly despite our separate lives. It's no problem. Do you want to hang out for a bit? Yeah, for a bit? I better get back. I'll drop her off at the new place tomorrow. You can have the grand tour. We locked eyes for a second, acknowledging everything that's happened. How new and strange this feels. When I kiss Ella again and leave her with her dad, it was easy in the end. Will you marry me? I didn't speak. He waited expectantly, hopefully. I imagined standing at the altar with him, Ella, a toddling plough girl. I imagined turning and looking at the congregation, and I felt fresh loss at the absence of my father. Billy would give me away, I suppose, not my dad, but the nearest thing I had to know to one. I was lucky to have him. There would be friends, neighbours filling up the pews. No Laura. I felt no grief about that. Her trial date had been set, and although the thought of testifying against her was already giving me nightmares, victim support had talked me through the process. I'd be alone in the stand, but I knew there was a team of people behind me. She'd be convicted, I was sure of it. She'd written a couple of times begging forgiveness. Remand prisoners were forbidden from making contact with trial witnesses, and the letters had come via our mutual acquaintance. Too blinded by friendship to believe Laura had truly done the things of which she had been accused. The letters were long, effusive. They played on our shared history, on the fact that we only had each other, that we both lost our mothers. I kept them as insurance, not as of sentiment, although I knew I never showed them to the police. Laura was taking a risk writing to me, but it was a small one. She knew me too well. I felt no grief either that my mother wouldn't be at my wedding. Thinking of her forms a hard ball of hatred in my heart that no amount of counselling will lessen. But it isn't Dad's murder I hate her for. Although that is where it starts, it isn't even for the lies she told in faking her death, in abandoning me in my grief. It's for the ones she told afterwards, the story she spun from the half-truths of her marriage to my father. It's for making me believe that he was alcoholic, that it was he who hit her, not the other way around. It's for making me trust her again. Well, Mark had prompted, will you? I realized the no on the top of my tongue had nothing to do with who or wouldn't be at our wedding if we hadn't had Ella. I said, do you think we'll still be together? He paused a fraction too long. Of course we would. I held his gaze for a moment. We stayed that way. He broke away and gave a tiny smile that didn't reach his eyes. Maybe. I reached for his hand. I don't think maybe's enough. Oakview sold quickly to a family with 3 children who accepted the house history in exchange for a price far below market value, and who will, I hope, fill the room with laughter and noise. Mark Putney's flat is on the market, and for now he's staying in Eastbourne so we can continue to bring up Ella together. I cried when the sold sign went up, but only for a moment. I had no desire to stay in Cleveland Avenue, where the neighbours looked at me with morbid fascination, and tourists went out of their way to walk past the house and go up at a garden they couldn't even see. Laura and Mum had disposed of the broken glass in the septic tank, along with Dad's body. Mum's prints were on the neck of the wine bottle. Laura's on the piece of glass that she'd so carefully picked up and thrown in the tank. The tank is long gone. Robert's ignition is underway. His 30 grand sweetener, a carrot dangling before the new owners in exchange for the inconvenience. They don't plan to replace Mum's rose beds, though. A football goal and climbing frame are on their shopping list instead. I walk back towards Oakview, my hands feeling empty without a buggy to push. Rita strains at the lead as a black and white car crosses my path, and I just manage to stop myself from pointing it out to an absent Ella. I wonder if I'll ever get used to her not being with me all the time. The house I bought is as different to my family's home as it is possible to get. A neat modern box with 3 bedrooms and an open plan ground floor where Ella starts to crawl. I can keep an eye on her from the kitchen. Back at Oakview, they're loading the lorry. They'll leave my bed, and Ella's cot and tonight will sleep in a near empty house, ready for the big move tomorrow. It's only a mile down the road, but it feels so much further. Nearly done, love. The removal man is sweating with the effort of heaving furniture into the van. I've left the heavy wardrobes, the long kitchen table, and the big hall dresser for the new family, who are delighted to be saved the expense. They're too big for my new house, and too tied up in memories I no longer want. The removal man wipes his brow with his back of his hands. Postcone. I popped it on the side for you. It's on the dresser and delivered by Laura's friend again. I wondered if she'll still be so supportive after the trial, once all the evidence has been laid out for the world to see. The charges stack up: concealing a crime, hiding Dad's body, threats to kill. The envelope prompts unwanted images. Laura with a gun in her hand. My mother edging closer to the edge of the balcony. I shake myself. It's over. It's all over. I pull out the letter, a single sheet. None the effusive apologies of her previous letters. My failure to respond, to withdraw my support for the prosecution, has clearly hit home. I unfold the paper and suddenly there's a buzzing in my ears. Blood singing, my pulse racing. A single line in the centre of the page. Suicide. The letter shakes in my hand. He envelopes me and I think I might pass out. I walk through the kitchen, through the boxes, and the removal van moving like worker bees back and forth from house to van, and open the back door. Suicide. I walk into the garden and make myself take deep, slow breaths until I'm no longer dizzy. Only the buzzing won't leave my ears, and my chest feels tight with fear, because this time I don't need to look elsewhere for the answer. It was suicide this time. It wasn't suicide this time either. My mother didn't jump. Author's note. Like many people around the world, I was gripped by the apparent miraculous reappearance in 2000 of John Darwin, who 5 years previously had been declared dead after what was believed to have been a canoeing accident in northeast England. His wife Anne later confessed that John had continued living with her in the family home before the couple embarked on a new life in Panama. I was fascinated by the story and by the sheer audacity of John Darwin, who had adopted a disguise in order to move undetected around his hometown, and who had frequently eavesdropped on his 2 grown-up sons as they visited their supposedly distraught mother. I wondered how it must feel to discover your parents had deliberately caused you the pain of bereavement, and how you would begin to rebuild a relationship with them. I found it hard to understand how any parent would treat their children in such a callous manner. As I wrote, Let Me Lie, I found the following publication particular value for the details behind the Darwin's extraordinary story. Up the Creek Without a Paddle by Tammy Cohen and Out of Depth by Anne Darwin. However, the events and characters in Let Me Lie are fictional products of my imagination, not based on any stories I've heard or read about. In researching suicide at PGA, I was moved by Life on the Edge by Keith Lane, the autobiography of a man whose wife jumped to death on the Sussex cliffs. Keith Lane's dedicated the next 4 years of life to patrolling the cliffs, preventing 29 people from taking their own lives. The Beacherhead Chaplain team provides more than 100 hours of patrol at Beacherhead each week. They support the police and coastal service in service and rescue endeavours and specialise in suicide and crisis prevention, saving around 2,000 people. Since their inception in 2004, the team relies on public support, so please do follow them on Facebook at Beacherhead's Chaplain Team and support their work if you can. According to the charity Mind, 1 in 4 of us will experience mental health problems this year, and more than 20% of us admit to having had suicide thoughts at some point in our lives. Every day, 16 people in the UK will die of suicide. If you have been affected by any of the issues raised in this book or would like to speak to someone about how you're feeling, I encourage you to call the Samaritans. They're available anytime. Acknowledgements, we don't need to worry about that. Exclusive to this edition, read on for a bonus scene from Let Me Lie featuring Murray and Sarah. In open order, right, dress. At the barked command, the eyes of 64 men and 17 women snapped to the right, each with one arm raised to the side. The newly qualified police officers shuffled into neat lines, precisely one arms width apart, before standing once more to attention, white glove hands tied against tunics. Murray keeps his eyes trained on Staff Officer Henderson. Like many of their trainers at Police Training College, Henderson was a former military man. Right now, his grey moustache twitched in anticipation of the next command. By the left. Henderson drew breath. Murray felt himself tense, even though they drew these precise movements. So often he sometimes worked to find his feet, marking time beneath the itchy blanket issued to each recruit. Quick, march. Knees high and heads higher. The class of June 1982 march across the parade ground in time with a brass band, which was just loud enough to be uncomfortable for anyone who had celebrated a little too heavily the previous evening. Never again, Murray thought, remembering the enthusiasm with which he had poured double measures of whiskey into plastic cups prolonged from the canteen at the time the celebration had seemed like a good idea. This morning, with the vestibule bull and a shirt to iron, Murray had wished he'd taken the advice of his sergeant and gone to bed early. Parade, shun. The sun was in his eyes, and Murray tried not to squint. As he and his majority of his peers stood to attention in the centre of the parade ground, a small delegation handpicked from the carrying of the intake marched to the front of the ground to present the flag to afternoon VIPs. They had been promised a royal, and there had been much discussion about who it might be, with Steve Bridges running a book with Princess Diana at odds of 10 to 1. Murray had put a quid on the Queen Mother. He wondered how, now, if anyone had pumped for the Duke of York, and who would collect the winnings if nobody had. Prince Andrew gave a rousing speech about Robert Peel, the people's people, and the weight of responsibility that now rested on the new recruit's shoulders. Murray felt a burst of pride. Come Monday morning, he would be walking the beat in Brighton, catching criminals and putting into practice everything he learned in the classroom. Each newly qualified officer had been allowed 4 tickets for family members. Murray had sent 2 to his parents and passed others to WPC Clearwoods, who had a big family and a persuasive manner. Now Murray scanned the rows of raked seats at the front of his parade ground until he found his parents. His father, stiffed in borough suit and his wedding tie, gave Murray a proud smile as the eyes met, and it was all Murray could do not to grin back. Murray's dad had been PC 27 Mackenzie until his retirement 3 years ago, and although he left Murray free to choose his own path, Murray couldn't have been prouder to follow his footsteps. He looked at his mother, but she was gazing at Prince Andrew with a look usually reserved for newborn babies and puppies. Parade! Stand easy. In unison, 81 officers brought up their left legs to a 90-degree angle before stamping their feet hard onto the ground, 6 inches to the left of where it had been. From the stand, Murray's attention was momentarily caught by a flash of luminous pink and a shock of yellow hair gathered by the top of a pineapple, half hidden amid the sea of muted suits and hats. Parade, to your duties, dismissed. They fell out, free to find their families and queue for the force photographer who would immortalize that with a cardboard frame image for mantelpiece of proud parents and partners. It was another hour before Murray saw the luminous pink jumper again. His dad was talking to a chief inspector he'd known since he was way back then, and his mother was interrogating Staff Officer Henderson about the facilities in the single quarters into which Murray would be moving on Sunday. The wearer of the pink jumper, which Murray now saw, was flecked with glittering thread and had sleeves that stretched from cuff to hem without going anywhere near an armpit. was by the buffet table. She was somewhere around Murray's age, perhaps 19, perhaps 21, and looked like a strong gust of wind might blow her over. Bright turquoise eyeshadow extended up to each eyebrow, and half a dozen or more bangles jangled on her forearm as she reached for the voluments. She put two on her plate, looked up to see if anyone was watching, then picked the prawns out of three more and popped them into her mouth. Murray grinned, and as the girl looked up again, their eyes met. Far from being embarrassed, the girl grinned back, pinched another prawn, put it in her mouth. Macca! Jim Ryder clapped Murray in the back. Top 9, mate. I'm paying for it now, Murray grinned. Hail the dog, like a magician with a rabbit. Jim produced a hip pastime inside his tunic and sloshed a generous measure of vodka into Murray's orange juice before doing the same with his own. Any idea who the blonde in the pink jumper is? Murray nodded towards the buffet table, where the girl was peeling the smoke salmon from a mouse ring. As she did so, she glanced at Murray, a mischievous look in her eyes, and he had the distinct impression her buffet table antics were at least partly for his own benefit. She was with Ralphie and his face last time I looked. Sure enough, the girl carried her plate over to the corner of the room where Carl Ralph was introducing his parents to one of their sergeant. As the girl approached, Carl put his arm around her. Murray turned away. Give us another slosh of that vodka, will you? As soon as the parents have all gone, I'm heading to town to get a real party started. You up for it? Try stopping me, Murray said, shaking up the fleeting disappointment he'll felt when he seen Carl Ralph with the girl in the luminous pink jumper. Good luck to them. He didn't know Ralph very well, but the lad was nice enough, and the pair made a good couple. Murray had been single throughout training college, with the exception of a brief fling with a WPC that they were both pretending hadn't happened. Perhaps once he was settled in his nick, he would meet a few more girls. The quiche and paydays had been cleared from the buffet table and replaced with Arctic rolls and black forest gâteau. Murray was just helping himself to the ladder when a jangling arm reached out and nabbed the glistening cherry from the top of the slice. Murray's mouth twitched. He waited until the cake was safely deposited on his plate before turning around, his features arranged in what he hoped was a perfectly neutral expression. On Sarah, she put the cherry in her mouth. A speck of whipped cream found its way from her fingers to the upper lip. Murray Mackenzie, you've got something there. He touched his own face. Sarah poked out the tongue and retrieved the cream. Gone. Cool parade. She marched on the spot, huge silver earrings swinging above her shoulders. The last time I saw Carl look so smart, he was at Nan's funeral. Her smile with a bright flash, blinking in your miss close up. Murray could see dark circles beneath her eyes. The sleeves of her voluminous jumpers were pulled over her head, and as they spoke, she tucked them down further. Murray caught a glimpse of collarbone as the neckline moved, milky skin, and a silver cross. Nan's funeral. Ralph is your... He let the question hang in the air, and she held back the answer just on to let him know she was playing with him. My brother, yes. But Murray tried to be casual. Oh, Sarah repeated, drawing out the bell as though she was blowing cigarette smoke. They were both smiling now, each silently challenging the other to make the next move. Do you have a boyfriend? Sarah shook her head. Me neither. Murray flushed. Girlfriend, I mean. Well, neither. Christ, he was a shit at this. He racked his brain for chat-up lines, but could only remember the one about tumbling from heaven. Sarah clearly wasn't the kind of girl to fall for cheese pickups. In fact, Sarah wasn't like any other girl Murray had ever met. She held his gaze, but there was a beat before she spoke again. You know, I meant all right. Her smile was broad, but her eyes told a different story, and her chin jutted forward defiantly. Carl's told you? Murray gave a shrug that could have meant anything, for I'm sure I know too. I don't give a damn. Despite Sarah's unwavering, almost mocking smile, Murray didn't join in. It didn't feel like something to smile about. He didn't recall Ralphie's mentioning a sister at all, let alone outlining the specifics of her mental health, borderline personality disorder, and even broader smile accompanied this time by a roll of sleeve. It sounds worse than it is, I promise. What does it mean? Murray asked, feeling stupid for not knowing. You can go and talk to someone else if you want. She shrugged and let you go and eat your cake. Find someone normal to talk to. Her tone was casual, not defensive, but nevertheless, he tugged at something inside Murray. He felt absurdly protective of this girl he just met, a girl who was clearly perfectly capable of looking after herself. I don't want to talk to. Murray broke off someone normal. It's almost said. Sarah's eyes twinkled. I don't even want the cake. Mind if I eat it? Some then? She took the fork out of Murray's hand and poked around in the cake until she found a cherry. She smeared it, the plate pushing down on Murray's hand. I have good days and bad days, she said, putting the cherry in her mouth and returning for a second, ups and downs. Don't we all? Sarah nodded at the chewed, conceding the point. I can get scared, paranoid. She looked up at him the first time since she started talking. The sparks went out of her eyes. Well, Mario said gravely, you know what they say. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that they're not going to get you. Sarah burst out laughing. Where are we going to be stationed? P.C. Mackenzie. Brighton. I live in Hove. Oh, the twinkle again. The same O of her lips. As she stretched out the words, Mara took a deep breath. Would you like to have dinner with me sometime? Sarah raised an eyebrow, so the suggestion was entirely unexpected. She contemplated Mara and tapped the fork against the fingers of her free hand. Even though I'm a bit mad. Mara looked at her, took in her luminous pink jumper and her hooped earrings and turquoise eyeshadow. He saw the way she bounced on her toes as though she was about to take off. He thought about how he felt when he caught sight of her on the parade ground and the mischievous look in her eyes when she was pinching prawns. He grinned. Precisely because you're a bit mad, he said. Thank you for listening.